It's Friday! Yes, week 13 or 12. Kind of lost track of where we are. So, today comes to us from the genius that is Mrs. Stroot. Mrs. Stroot and I were discussing Fridays, and she said, Tom, you know what you haven't done? I said, no, what haven't I done? She goes, onion rings. I went, onion rings. So we're going to do onion rings. The first thing you need is you need a really big onion. So, got one, but I know that my family's really going to like this, so I got two. All right. Went to the store, didn't get a bag. I picked these out personally. I hope they're okay. Kind of consider myself a onion connoisseur. Also, I went with sweet onions because I love Vidalia sweet onions. I think that those are the best onion rings. So essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to take these, and at some point, my handy dandy assistant is going to cut, and we're going to go to time lapse. But basically, you cut the ends off, right? Put those to the side. Going to peel off the paper and put that to the side. If it is that you have a place to compost it, this is great for composting. Makes the outside of your house smell lovely because everybody loves the smell of rotting onions as it is if they're getting close by there. Also helps keep away raccoons and possums and all other kind of vagrants, varmint vagrants, I don't know, something like that. Right? Sometimes you got to go the second layer. That's kind of skinny. What you're looking for is kind of the whiteness of the onion. Right, none of that orangey brownie in there. I don't know what that is. So you put that to the side. So now it is that we got that. And so they said kind of thin. I don't know, I'd probably go like 1/4 inch. I'll try it just like that. Just like that. They say thin. I don't know. Thin is kind of relative, right? Some people look at me and say that, Mr. Stroot, you were so thin. And I go, what, really? I kind of consider myself portly, but it's kind of how it goes sometimes. So, and then there's the last one right here. And so then we're just going to break them up so that we get rings, because the object is onion rings, right? So that you can see them, right? I see Johnny and I see Maisie and I see, none of you are old enough to remember Romper Room. So we'll pull those out, and we're going to go to probably time lapse now. So enjoy. We'll be back at some point. And we're back. All right, so now we're gonna make the batter. Now, one of the things it is that I've been watching a lot of cooking shows is that cold does really well when you're like frying. I don't know why it is my videographer's not following me over here. Right, cold does really well. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get some cold water from the fridge, and we have kids, so we put the water dispenser on the outside so that we didn't come home to a flooded house at some point, because they had been messing with stuff, especially when they were, really kids. Right, so there's 1 cup of water, right? And I also left eggs in here to keep them cold as well. So what we're gonna do, and I hope I mentioned before that the recipe normally calls for 1 onion, but like I said, my family likes 2 onions. Hopefully we'll like this, and so we're doing 2 onions. So I have 1 cup. If you want to do it for just 1 onion, just have everything there. And so put the flour in there, put the baking powder and the seasoned salt. And for seasoned salt, I like Seasonal. You guys will remember that from episode 1 with the how to fry an egg, right? Seasonal, delicious. It's great on French fries too. I can't believe we didn't do that for the chips, right? So now we're gonna sift that through, right? We got some natural mixing there, right? We got some big guys left over, so we're not going anywhere. So we're gonna take the egg, right? And again, from episode 1, we're gonna crack it on the counter so as to avoid getting any shell, right? Because if you're gonna get shell in there, there's gonna be hell to pay, right? If you think about it like that, right? And so then these are gonna be lightly beaten, right? So Got a little bit going on there. Lightly beat, a little over the side. It's better if I had a fork, but you know, I didn't prepare. Proper prior planning prevents poor performance. Obviously, I did not properly plan, which happens from time to time. If I went on video, I would do it. I would correct that. All right, so I'm gonna take that cold egg. I'm gonna mix it in here with the water just because I want everything to work out all right. So I'm gonna put that in there, mix all this together. That way it is that I'm gonna get some uniformity. Did not say anything about this in the recipe. This is my own little take on it. And I'm gonna put this in here and I'm gonna whisk it as it is that I'm going. Right, and get a nice batter going. Oh, see, this is the kind of batter. And so what they were saying was that if you use the cold, right, when you're doing your pie crust, right, it makes it nice and flaky and crispy and keeps everything good. It gets the air in there so that the air gets up there and makes it a little lighter, a little better. So, and there you go. Now we have batter d'oignon. All right, we're gonna get these things out of here. It's all out of here. Clean up the mess a little bit there. Ooh, excuse me. Wow. The seltzer water is speaking. There we go. All right, and so we're gonna put these in here. We're gonna drop them in here for about 1.5 minutes. Right? I'm not sure how this is gonna go, but you know, just put them in there. Maybe I'll put a whole mess in there. Let's go like that, and we can just pull them out as we go. Now, I'm a fan of the smaller ones, right? When I go to Popeyes, these are the type that I love. I love these small ones because they are just so full of flavor. Most people, you know, they're grabbing for the big ones. I'm grabbing for the little ones because they're just so delicious. All right, so I'm gonna throw a couple little ones in there too. Something about wet hand, dry hand, I don't know. Somebody was telling me about that. Like, you know, your hands look just terrible when you're doing this. And just so you know, I did wash my hands before doing this. If it is that you're gonna put your hands in food, you wanna make sure you do that. All right, so now we're just gonna drop these in here. We're gonna do a few. Look at that. There we go. There we go. Oh my gosh, smell-o-vision is cranked up again. Oh, ask your cable provider for smell-o-vision because it's so delicious. It really makes the show worth it. All right, so we're gonna go for about 1:15. Over here's your plate. Get salad. Because yet again, I have failed to plan. So what we'll do here, flip. Light, crispy, airy. Try to fry until golden brown. There's that steam coming out of there. Right, notice how they're puffing up. I don't know if you can see that. The videographer, I'm not sure she can get in there because of the amount of steam, but you can see that they're definitely puffing up on us here. All right. See how we're doing? This is good. I do like my onion rings a little thicker than most. Good. We're going to give them one more flip here. One more flip. Just a little bit of time. Steamy goodness, love. Oh, look at this. Look at it! It's so crispy I can die! Oh my goodness. Just look at it. This is when you really want a bigger fryer, right? I mean, you know, got this little thing that we've had for years. And now I'm going, you know, if I had a bigger fryer, I could do more rings. I could, but, you know, it's not a reason to go out and get a new fryer. This one works just fine. We are so close. So close. Heat staying up. Notice how I didn't crowd the oil, right? I didn't oversaturate like I have done before. Like, remember the chips episode when I put too many chips in there and the oil went way down? Bad move, right? Just, you know, take your time, do it in batches. Be happy with what you got. Oh, look at the crispiness. Crispy critters. You know what this works really well for too? Crickets, speaking of crispy critters. Right, if you're gonna deep fry crickets, you know, this is really a good way to go. They get really crunchy, you know, also. Maybe we'll do those next week. Fried crickets, I don't know. All right, so we got those. You put a little seasoning on there, but when you pull things out of the fryer, right? Put a little salt on there. A lot of people like to put ketchup on their onion rings. Nope, I like mine naked. Don't need to put anything on them. So, I mean, just you can see, right, the crispy goodness in there. These are really hot, by the way. You can see that there's been some contraction. Right. So let's go with one of the big guys right here. All right, here's hoping that we don't burn things like my mouth. So, all right, let's go. Ready, set. Mmm. They may not need the salt afterwards. That seasoned salt may do it, but I normally salt things after I fry them. Wow, that is really delicious. You should get yourself some of these. So, I don't think this is the last Friday video. No, it's the last Friday of school. We may come back from time to time. We have a couple of ideas. The best of which is fried green tomatoes, which we're hoping to bring you as soon as green tomatoes are available. But there are some ideas in the hopper. If you have any, don't forget you can email me, tstrud@avalonschools.org.